It's set heading. Okay? So T dot set heading, 90 degrees is straight up. L if the command is equal to south. And let's do them in order. North, west will be 180. L if the command is equal to east. South is 270 in this map. Oh, I forgot to make that south. Sorry. North, west, south, and then east. T dot setting 0 is east in this weirdo map.
How do you like? What made him do it like that?
I don't really know.
Can you scroll up? I can't see anything you're typing.
Yeah, I could do that. That's a good idea. That help? Yeah, righty. Now the program may crash if I don't send it a number. We could probably fix that. But for now, I'm going to just say north and then go forward 100. East, go forward 100. South, go forward 100. West, go forward 100. Now I fully expect this to crash. We will have to make a change to get this not to crash. And the problem is that since we only have one letter here inside our string, when we try to get the number out, there's no number to get. So I'm thinking that after it draws a triangle and it starts trying to draw this square, that it's going to mess up. Yep. Okay. How will we fix that? I'm going to have to put some kind of if statement. Right here. That says if the length of number is greater than 0, do that. Because if it's not greater than 0, we don't have a number to play with. So these are the two lines I added. Right here. And this is the fix for single letter commands. Ditto.
Wait, so did we get rid of the one that was above it?
Nope, we left it there. That's fine. But we put an if statement in front of this num is equal to int num. If we want to make absolutely sure that that's a 0, let's go ahead and put an else. Else colon num is equal to 0. So if they didn't pass in a number, we just set num is equal to 0. So these are our statements now, the changes to it.
And then how does that fix it? Like,
Well, when we pass in a single, if say f's only equaled that, then the command is going to equal the first letter, which is that. But then number, there's no more data.
It doesn't let us go east because it says heading cannot equal 0.
Oh, really? Okay.
So
I'll have to fix that too. That's interesting. Anyways, so if S is just equal to a single letter with no number after it, then at this point number is equal to an empty string. And so len of number has to be greater than 0 for us to pull a number out. If the length of it is not greater than 0, it means there is no number, and we're just going to give the number 0 instead. Okay. You're right. Oh, wait. Did I type some uppercase and lowercase where I shouldn't have? Yes, I did. All my CMDs have to be lowercase. Now mine did work, so let me come back and look at yours. Do you need me to scroll up or down now in order for you to see it?
Some more. I can't see the bottom still. I
Okay.
don't know why. I could see it.
Oh.
It's very good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, go ahead and close that. You're gonna have to. Oh. Close this. So you're doing the same thing twice. Numbers equal to 19, numbers equal to 19, that means. Yeah. And different people are needing different things. I'm going to come and get these 4 lines and paste them in a different document. All right. Here's the top of it. If you're still at that point. And here's the rest of it. Alright guys, when you create your turtle, it has to have parentheses after it, or else you're going to get errors. Okay. Here's the top of the code, here's the rest of the code. Who else is getting red stuff on the screen that needs to go away? Triangles, squares, good deal. Cheers, Carl.
Like it was underneath the else, and that's why it was.
Yeah, that sounds likely.
So that's why I was. Cause it
Show you
moved.
a fast way to do
Oh, I
this
always.
stuff. Do that and grab format, do that.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
I was like,
Alright guys, other than lifting the pen or adding commands like circles and stuff like that, I think this is a pretty good illustration. Now to me, the ability to create a series of commands and then tell it to do them all at once is way better than just telling it step by step down in my main code down here. I think it's way cooler to be able to say, I want you to do that, then turn left, then do that, and then turn left, and then do that, rather than have to put all of those commands individually. You may not agree. Hopefully you do. One important thing to note is this statement, the for statement. I think we've seen it before, but there's really two kinds of for statements that we care about. One is with the range statement. Like this. For x in range, I'm going to say for x in range 10, I'm just typing this into the shell now, not into a program. Print x. And it'll print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So range starts at 0 and ends at 1 less than that value. But what if you give it a position? For x in range starting at 5 and going out to 11. Going up to but not including 11. It's going to print 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What if we wanted it to count by 2s or 4s or 10s or something like that? There's one more format of it. For x in range, no parentheses there, for x in range starting at 10, going up, I'm going to say up to 21, so it'll actually include 20, but go by 2s. Now it's going to print 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. So there's 3 formats of the range command. If you just specify only one number, it starts at 0 and then goes up to but not including that last value. If you specify 2 values, it starts at that starting value and ends when it reaches but not including that second number. So this would print 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you specify 3 values, this third one is a step. It indicates that it's supposed to increase by 2s. So although it doesn't make any sense to do this, go back to your Simon code. And I want you to give me 3 for commands that counts from 0 to 20. Remember, you're going to have to go 1 past. And then add another 4 that counts from 100 to 120. Remember, you're going to have to go past 120. You're going to have to make it 121. And then a 4 that counts from 10 to 100. Remember, you're going to have to go past 100 with a step of 10, increasing by 10. So let's do that first one. For x in range 21, print x. And when you get there, somebody tell me what the second for statement's going to look like.
For x in range 100, comma 120.
Not 120 though.
Oh, yeah, it'd be
Yep, 121.
121.
Right.
And then,
And then a print x.
yeah.
And the last one will start at 10. It needs to go past 100, so we'll make it 101, and then the third number is going to be at 10. This range is actually just a list. So if you wanted to, you could store it in a list variable. I'm going to make another list called L2, and I'm going to say it's equal to the range of all the numbers between 1 and 30. 1. So since I want it between 1 and 30, I'm going to go to 31. And now if I print L2, we'll see what it prints. Oh, all it is print range 1, 31. Not very educational. But we could do this. For x in L2, colon, print x. Now it's going to print all the numbers between 1 and 30. And that's that last series of numbers right there.
If you try to run our 3 range things and the shell, it gave me an invalid syntax.
At which point? Well, we're pasting an awful lot in there. I'm not sure So the for statement can be used with a range, or it can be used with a list. I'll pop open a shell and demonstrate that. So L is, well, let's do it the simplest. For X in 10, 20, 30, 35, colon, print X. It prints 10, 20, 30, and 35. This is what we took advantage of in our SimonSays function. We passed it a list of stuff separated by commas, and we extracted them all, except we used the variable S there, and we used the variable L there. So we could do that. L is equal to, and let's give it some strings. Joe, comma, Bob, comma, Sam. And then I'm going to do for S in L, sounds like Saturday Night Live, print S, Joe, Bob, and Sam. So that's what we did, except our list had very specific commands, a specific syntax. Forward 100, left 90, you know, that kind of thing. Alrighty, we said the exam was going to be on Wednesday. I'd like to push that back to next Monday. Reason I want to do that is so that we can give a good review, and I've already used up so much time today that we haven't done a review. So we'll change the exam to the 7th. Let's see what else we can use the range statement for. Let's print the sum of all the numbers between 0 and 10. Let's see if that'll work. Nope. Oh, that's because I did not do the syntax correctly. Well, let's store it in a variable first. Sum is equal to, X is equal to the sum, and I'm just not doing this in the shell, to the range 0 to 11. So it'll be the sum of all numbers between 0 and 10. That actually works. So now if I print X, 55. That sounds right. We can also use that sum command if we just have a list of numbers. L is equal to, and I'm going to make a list, 0, 5, 3, 8, 6, 7, 5, 3, 0, 9. Alrighty, there we go. Invalid syntax. That's because I forgot to put my comma there. Or I put too many commas there. I'll try to edit that. Oh yeah, okay, fine. I'm going to go ahead and do this back in the code. Alrighty. So, L is equal to, let's make it without any typos, 8, 6, 7, 5, 3, 0, 9. And then we can do X is equal to the sum of all of those values. Then let's print that out. We can also find the minimum one. Remember that along with the sum function, there's an min function. So let's do A is equal to the minimum value of that list. And B is equal to the maximum value of that list. And then let's print those two out. And that makes sense because we have a 0 in there, so that's of course going to be the minimum unless we toss in a negative number, and a 9 being the maximum. We could change this data a little bit so that we had different minimums, like 500 could be the maximum and negative 9 could be the minimum. There we go. And so negative 9 is the minimum and 500 is the maximum. All right, now let's see if we can sort that data. L2 is equal to L dot sort. Is that going to work? Let's find out. I've already forgotten the syntax of the sort command. Yep, that worked. So it sorted the data, which we see right here. So we've talked about built-in functions before. The ones that are important for lists is the sum function, the min function, the max. And the way you use those is you pass your list into them.
Could you make it do like the sum of strings?
You can't sum strings.
They don't
You could do some code. It might be possible, but right now the syntax isn't occurring to me. You could write some code that would do it. And then there's a sort. Built-in functions useful for handling lists. Then we talked about two styles of for loops. For x in range, and then for x in the list. And of course the variable names don't have to be exactly that. You know, we used for S, we could have called it for Sam, for Frodo, you know, anything. Okay, so your homework going to be pretty easy. Take this job and shove it. No, take this SimonSays code and make it draw a hexagon. What is the angle for a hexagon? I don't remember right offhand what it is.
60.
Yeah, you're correct. How would you calculate it? It's 360 divided by the number of sides.
Yeah, size equal to 6.
So with sides equal to 6, it's 60. So you're not going to have to use any loops or whatever. You're just going to create another list like that, and then call SimonSays. Now that's really pretty easy. You can probably get it done in 2 minutes.
Actually,
So I'm on chapter 7, the for loop revisited. This is showing how to step through a list, and we just did that. This is a list of names where we're printing something that says, "Hi, please come to my party." So we created our list of names. We could have put that in a variable beforehand, Capital L is what we've been using. And then we create a string that says invitation is equal to hi plus F. So to say hi Joe, or hi Zoe, a hi Brad, and so on, and then it prints it out. So if these were a series of numbers stored as strings, we could do that conversion first. Number is equal to int parentheses F, and then do some math with it. So stepping through all the items in a list, he says it's called traversing the list. You can also call it iterating through the list, which is, a matter of fact, what they call the title, iteration. So when you iterate through a list, or you traverse through a list, there's really two ways you can do it. The easiest is with a for statement, or you can pull out each slice of the list independently. So this is a good time to bone up on the concept of slices. Say we do this. Names is equal to, and I'm going to create like 4 names. Joe, Bob, Alice, and Susie. If I want to print out just the first 2 names, how would I do that?
Print.
Yeah, I would use a slice. So print,
And then names, and then bracket 0, 1.
well, that would only give me 1. I want to print the first 2 names. So 0:2. That prints Joe and Bob. What if I wanted that one and that one? If I want Bob and Alice,
Do 1 and 3.
I would do 1 and 3. Yep. If I want the last 2, well, there's more than one way to do that. But here's one way. I could start at position 2 and go up to but not including position 4. Or I could say starting at position 2 and just go to the end of the list. Like that. That's syntax. Or, do you remember what happens if you use -1?
It'll be the last thing.
-1 is the last one, so -2 would be 1 over. So that'd be the other thing we could do. We could start at names -2 and then go to the end of the list. This is actually a good idea because this would not give us the last 2 if there were 5 names in the list rather than 4. Starting at position 2 only gives us the last 2 when we know that the list is exactly 4. But if we say -2, it doesn't matter. The list could be 1,000 items long. But getting the last 2 is still that. If we wanted just one value, if I just want Bob, what should I print out? It's going to be names, and then 1. Yep, that's it. So that slices it, but we take just one piece of the cake.
How come it, for that one, it printed it without the brackets or the quotations?
Because this style returns us a list. This one we actually got a string, and I am surprised that it didn't put quotes around it. But if we did this, S is equal to, well, we already have that. If I do this, print names, names is a list, and so it's going to make it all fancy like that with the braces, the brackets, and the quotes. But if I do this, N is equal to Joe, and I print N out, it's not going to decorate it with any of that fancy stuff. And so when we were using slices to get a list out, a subset of it, then it did that fancy syntax. But when we said we just want one of them, it just printed the string. Very good question. So going back into Simon, 2 ways of getting pieces of data out of a list. I'm going to make my names array again. names list, Joe, Bob, Alice, and Susie. A for statement is the easiest way. For every something in the names list, print happy birthday, and then print that out. When I do that, it's going to print happy birthday Joe, happy birthday Bob, happy birthday Alice, and happy birthday Susie. That's the fast way. Or you could use a while loop with an index counter. I is going to stand for our index. And while I is less than the length of the names array, you can kind of already tell that this is getting uglier. N is equal to names at position I, and then print happy birthday N, like that. Oh, and I forgot to increase I. So it's going to be an infinite loop until I did this. I plus equals 1. All right. Of the two ways of printing a list, that way's a lot better in my mind than that. But they both do the same thing. If we run them, we'll see the same happy birthday statements. Yeah. There we go. So this is traversing the list with a for statement, and this is traversing the list with a while statement. And in general, if you can use a for, it's going to make for much more concise, understandable code. The only time you can't use a for is if you don't know the data ahead of time. If you don't know the range of values, or you don't already have that list. If you're asking for the user, if you're asking the user for names, then you're going to use some kind of while loop, because you don't already know in advance the data that you're playing with. But if you already have the data, you're good, and you can use a for loop. All right, and just as our last reminder, how do we add something to the end of the list? Append. So we're going to append one more person to the birthday party. Chuck. And we're going to insert somebody at the beginning of the list. Tony goes into position 0. Except I have that syntax backwards. The 0 comes first, followed by the name we're inserting. Now I'm going to print the list out before I do that stuff and after it. So before the names.append, I'm going to print names. After the names.append, I'm going to print them again, just so I can see what happened to the list. So we see Tony got inserted at the head of the line and Chuck got sent back to the end of the line. I'm going to add these as comments. Alrighty, gang. Let's make a Dropbox for this.